I like what they did. Got to do something about the cornerback position because we don't have a starting corner over there to play with Darius Slay.
Yeah, I am there too when it comes to the secondary, but I'm more along the safety position. And after the best sports night of my life, nothing I'd rather do than hang out with you two fine people.
Likewise, we'll get into that and more in night 2 of the JAKIB Draft Special from Ocean Casino Resort. We'll see you on the other side.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
Hey, Eagles fans, this is Marc Lynch, business manager of IBEW Local 98 here in Philadelphia. We are proud to be sponsoring tonight's NFL Draft coverage here on 6 ABC. Go Birds!
It's the biggest, most important draft in the history of this Philadelphia football franchise. It will determine the outcome of the season for the next 5 years and beyond before a down is ever played. Welcome to the JAKIB Media Sports 2022 NFL Draft Special. Live on 6abc.com from Ocean Casino Resort in Atlantic City. Presented by First Trust Bank, the official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. IBEW Local 98. Stateside Vodka, United Healthcare, Mesa Law, 6ABC, and Budweiser, the official beer of the Philly sports fan. Let's go, Philly. Let's get this draft show underway. EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome into night 2 of the JAKIB Draft Special from Ocean Casino Resort. I'm Devan Kaney, joined by Garry, Cobb, and Marc Farzetta. Guys, what a first round the Philadelphia Eagles had. I can't wait to get into what happens or what's going to happen in round 2 with both of you. But to start us off, Garry, let's start with you. What are your initial overall takeaways from last night?
Well, Jordan Davis is the guy they wanted. They targeted him. They got him. And this kid is a specimen. He is, tremendous size and a tremendous athlete. He has the potential to be a dominating player in the middle of a defense. And so I love the pick as long as they can develop this kid, because that's going to be the key. Right now, he's not where they need to be. I mean, Georgia did not play him on third down. Third down is the down in the NFL. That's when the marquee guys step up. Great quarterbacks make plays on third down. And then, of course, pressure on the quarterback is very important. So the big thing with him is going to be his development. Now, the move with A.J. Brown was tremendous because now you have a marquee #1 receiver. This is a guy that really, what it's going to do is it puts a clock on Jalen Hurts. The clock is ticking because now you have a #1 receiver. He makes everything better for Devontae Smith because now he's not going to be doubled. They're going to double A.J. Brown. He's too big for them to be out physical, and then he's got the deep speed too. He is a great player, and you got him when he's at his best. 24 years old, and that was a great move. I got to give him credit for that. That was a great move. Mm-hmm. They got the guy. They got the pieces in place, so I'm thrilled with what they did. Jordan Davis, though, has got to be developed.
Yeah, we gotta unpack that. Lots to talk about this show. But Marc, let's hear your thoughts.
I'm thrilled. I did not expect to walk away from the draft yesterday being as thrilled as I was. Yep. I really feel like both the one pick and the second acquisition, we'll call it. Yeah. I thought Howie Roseman did a great job of using both of those picks to make the team better this year. If you talk about development with a guy like Jordan Davis, Garry, you're exactly right. You got to develop this guy. What better role to put him in then? Next to Fletcher Cox, next to Javon Hargrave, next to a guy like Brandon Graham, next to these veterans, or another guy who's developed and really came out of his shell last year in Josh Sweat. So I feel like he's in a great position to do that development that you're speaking of. A.J. Brown is not just a huge upgrade when it comes to the wide receiver position for the Philadelphia Eagles. He's exactly the step up they needed at that position. You mentioned his size. You also mentioned his speed. They have guys like already Devontae Smith who's got that speed. They got Quez Watkins. They got a guy like Greg Ward. They have a deep receiving core. A.J. Brown's the guy that puts them over the top. And it's not just getting a veteran like that. It's not just adding him to a guy who's already a great tight end like Dallas Goedert, for instance. It shows a vote of confidence in a guy like Jalen Hurts that you can depend on this guy to deliver the football after hopefully will be a big step forward in his second year as a starter of the Philadelphia Eagles. But you also give him a guy who seems like right out of the gate they have a good rapport, just judging from what you can
they're already
judge.
friends.
They're already friends. They're filming with 2 phones,
it
whatever
was
they were
honestly
doing.
the most personality I've seen Jalen Hurts show on social media.
Exactly.
Maybe, or ever, just in general.
I've known Garry Cobb for almost 15 years. We have never once filmed each other on the phone. Not one time. But I could not be more excited to see how excited those two are to start working together in South Philly. Yeah.
Well, Garry, you and I were talking last night. I was very excited when they took Jordan Davis. I actually interviewed him last month, and just his overall, first of all, his size, incredible.
Yeah, he's huge.
He's massive, huge, but also just an all-around great guy. Seems like he's going to be a really good fit in the Eagles locker room.
Yeah.
But I know you were a little disappointed, but I want to get your perspective on how Jordan Davis is going to affect the Eagles' picks tonight. Surprisingly low for the Eagles. The Eagles only have 1 pick in the second round, 1 pick in the third round, and we know how he usually likes to rack up those picks. Maybe he'll make a trade. I don't know. We'll see what's going to happen. But how do you think Jordan Davis is going to affect what the Eagles do tonight?
Well, I think tonight, they got to look at their defensive line, which they look at. Make sure you have a solid offensive line. Make sure you have an outstanding defensive line. Those are points that the Eagles, they built their Super Bowl team like that, and that's what they believe in. So they've addressed it at the defensive tackle position, but they would like to address it outside because they know they would like to get an elite edge rusher if they can. So they definitely want to address the defensive line. That's why they made all the moves to get him, because if he commands a double team, there's only but so many offensive linemen you have. So if he commands a double team, then that leaves everybody else one-on-one. It's just like, Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid comes out, he demands a double team, and many times he's still going to score. But what that does is that leaves all the other guys open for open jump shots, and that's what Jordan Davis is going to do. But the big thing with Jordan Davis, though, is he has got to be pushed. He's got to lose some weight. So I want to tell everybody right now, we are a cheesesteak city, okay? This whole area loves cheesesteaks. We cannot have Jordan Davis eating cheesesteaks. Now, that's why I want to reach out to all the great cheesesteak places in the area.
No.
We want to give you his picture. Do not let this guy, let everybody else come in. Jordan, no cheesesteaks, buddy. We don't even want you to taste a cheesesteak, because you're gonna love it so much that you'll be 400 pounds. We can't have a 400 pounds.
We got to give it on like the lettuce wrapped cheesesteak. I don't know if that's a thing.
He might be the only.
Maybe we'll do that where we have some kind of substitute in there. But I'm telling you, with the cheesesteaks, though, man, I'm telling you, we cannot let cheesesteaks make this guy 400 or 500 pounds. We can't do it. Everybody else, eat all the cheesesteaks you want. But if you see Jordan Davis in there, we're gonna show you his picture. Do not let him in. Do not give this guy a cheesesteak. See, he'll love that cheesesteak, and then he'll be 400 pounds. We cannot let that happen. So I'm telling everybody in the area, I'm going to put his picture out. Let everybody see his picture. All the cheesesteak places throughout the whole area. Do not give one of these to Jordan Davis. No.
Or we just got to get him Joel Embiid's nutritionist or whoever he saw after he went through that Chick-fil-A eating phase.
He's a great player, and, I will personally make sure he does not get any cheesesteaks, whatever we got to do.
I don't doubt that.
He'll be the only celebrity picture at a cheesesteak place with he'll be with the owner and he'll be eating like a seaweed wrap or something like that. Like some kale Caesar wrap.
No cheesesteaks.
No cheesesteaks.
Jordan, no.
Or maybe without the bun, no carbs. He'll go low carb. That's what he'll do. But we'll personally put Garry Cobb, G Cobb himself, on the cheesesteak police patrol to make sure Jordan Davis ain't eating no cheesesteaks.
That's what I got to do. When I was playing with the Eagles, we had a young kid come in. Jerome Brown came in, and he was ready right then, because he really was a pusher. He pushed everybody else. And that's what they've got to do. I want to see Fletcher, you put your arm around the kid, and he's got the
Well, that's
talent.
the thing, though. Do you think Fletcher is the right person to mentor Jordan Davis?
I probably would say no, because I wouldn't say
his last season was
Fletcher. You know, working hard is not necessarily his thing. Where he's just, you know, he's going crazy with work. Fletcher is just an elite athlete who's a great player. Now he turns it on in the game, and he can take over a game. But I wouldn't say that he's the guy that works. So they got to have the coaches got to connect with him, and they got to push this kid. I mean, you're going to give him a hug when he comes in, but then you're going to give him a kick in the butt and say, doggone it, we're going to drop some weight. We need you to be more stamina, because if you saw him on the tape, third down, he's standing there just not even trying to get to the passer. You cannot have that on the NFL level. You got to let him know, Jordan, you got to get to the quarterback for us, buddy. That's why we brought you in here. You can't just stop the run. You've got to be a factor against the pass. And by the way, stay away from those cheesesteaks, Jordan.
In case it wasn't made clear,
Side note.
stay away from the cheesesteaks.
Yeah.
Mark, what's your take on all this?
My take is that I feel like Fletcher Cox has kind of turned over a new leaf and will be a leader, more of a leader than he has been previously as a Philadelphia Eagle. And I think one of the good things that came out from last night was Fletcher Cox actually going out there on social media to welcoming the young buck, welcome to the crowd. Also, let's not forget that he's on a one-year deal now. So I think he realizes his legacy with Philadelphia, it's time to punch that clock and realize where he is at in his career. And I think that's what he realizes. And I think you got to look at this as kind of a changing of the guard as well. I think he's at a point where he's mature enough to do that now. Not saying that he's the guy I want to nominate as a leader right out of the gate, but I think he'll be more inclined to put somebody under his wing than he ever has in years past, simply because he knows he's on that one-year deal now.
Okay. You know what? When I got or have seen Jordan Davis on air, when I interviewed him, I got Brandon Graham vibes. I know not
he's a fun-loving guy.
Cox,
He's
but
a fun-loving
I kind of got similar, like massive dude who just has a really gentle personality and is fun. So maybe a mix of both, but we'll see. So Mark, I want to continue with you and talk about defense, because when it comes to this second round tonight, Eagles pick at 51. I'm very impressed. I give them an A+ for what they did last night in the first round, but still obviously have some needs: cornerback, safety, linebacker. The list still kind of goes on, but what do you think the greatest need is for them tonight?
Well, first, I would just be really impressed if they just acknowledge that linebacker existed. Like,
they
just tell me right out of the gate, you guys at least know that exists. Like when we had a guy like Garry Cobb playing for this team, they were doing okay at that time, but apparently that's not the big deal anymore. Yes, they need a corner, and I think they absolutely need a safety. I mean, right now, when you think about it, you got big question marks at the cornerback position. Zach McPherson came out of the gate strong in training camp. He was Mr. Training Camp. Used to be Mr. Lehigh. Now it's just Mr. NovaCare. So he's doing good things there. But then when the season started, he was highlighted on special teams, actually led the team in special teams tackles. All that was great. You need him to step up and have that bigger role. I don't think they're going to look to him to do that. If he does it, great. I think they're going to look in this second round for cornerback help. I think they're also going to look for safety help, because right now you're looking at Anthony Harris. Right now you're looking at Marcus Epps. And Marcus Epps has stepped up well in flashes, but nothing worth bragging about just yet. I think they're going to look at this second round to get aggressive, potentially package one of the players that they have right now that are kind of on the outs with the organization. When you think about an Andre Dillard, you think about a Jalen Reagor especially, maybe even a Gardner Minshew. And they could possibly package those guys to move up with maybe their third round pick.
Maybe with Gardner. Maybe with Gardner.
But then who's our backup quarterback?
Well, you're going to have to go out and get one.
Yeah.
You know?
You can still do that. I mean, there's still plenty of time to be able to do that.
Yeah.
But I want them to go after a safety. I don't think they'll be able to. I don't think he'll be there at 51. But the two guys that I think most people are looking at, and I'm right there with everybody, it's Petrie and obviously it's Brisker out of Penn State. Those are the two guys that I'm going to be focusing at the safety position. I doubt they'll be available at 51 though.
Well, go ahead.
Petrie has got, the type of talent you want to see, because he's so versatile. And really, on the defense now in the NFL, you need versatile people, especially at the safety position. He's kind of got some linebacker qualities too, but he's a great open field tackler. He's got that burst where he can close on a quarterback or close on a receiver. So Petrie is a young man that, you definitely, what is it? Pitri. Petrie. That's the way you spell it. But he's the type of guy you need on a defense, because he can cover backs out of the backfield, cover tight ends, cover wide receivers. Versatile. That's what you need on a defense now, because they send out guys with speed, but they've got size. So you got to cover those tight ends and the elite players. So you need guys that are able to tackle big people, but you got to be able to run. And that's where, those speedy linebackers, which they
Right.
need, which is something else we're going to talk about. You got to have speed at that linebacker position because they are going to get linebackers one-on-one with wide receivers just for a short period of time. And that's the thing is you got to have athletes on the field. If you can't run, you cannot be on the field as a cover guy. So that's what they've got to be looking at with the second pick. They got to get somebody who's very versatile.
If I may, because I have to ask, 'cause this is a question. This is a question that I mean, neither one of us can answer. The only man that can answer this question is Garry Cobb right here. Petry's one of those guys at Baylor that was so good. It was kind of, hey, go out there and make a play.
Yeah.
And I'm sure a lot of these guys in the NFL draft are along that same acumen. They go out there and make a play. How much does that hurt them going into the NFL where they really have to worry and can be concerned about fitting into a scheme?
Well, I think he's going to be able to fit into the scheme because, you got to be smart where you're able to do what you're supposed to do. You have different responsibilities. Like if you have contain, you can't let a guy get outside and everything. At the same time, being able to anticipate the play. And the big thing is you got to be able to know about formations. When the team comes out in a certain formation and they like to do certain things, they have a personality. An offensive coordinator has a personality. The offense of every team has a personality, meaning like there's certain things they want to do. So you got to know what they are and what to take away from them. And I saw that in Petry, where it seems like he got an instinct for the game. And amazingly, one of the things I learned about football all the years playing, I remember playing with a guy when I was playing with the Cowboys.
By the way, that was a Cowboys fan at the bar. If you heard someone crying.
I saw that.
If you heard someone crying, it was the Cowboys fan.
But when I was playing with a guy, he was a linebacker, and he went to Yale. He was a Yale grad, brilliant, but he was football stupid.
Okay.
I mean, see, because when you play the game of
it's
football,
like someone who's really book smart, but then can't hold a conversation.
No street smart.
That's right. They can't put it into action. And so he had the smarts when it comes to books and everything, but he didn't have the intuition to be able to decipher things about a formation and what a player liked to do and what he was going to do. And so he was terrible when it came to the instincts. Mm-hmm. Certain things are instinctive. It's a different type of intelligence, which Jeffrey Lurie was talking about emotional intelligence. Mm-hmm. There is a certain type of intelligence that's intuitive, where a person in a conversation would know what to say, to flow. Somebody has intelligence, a comedian has a certain intelligence. They know what to say that's funny. Well, in football, there's a certain type of football intelligence where you can look at a formation, and this is something that you must have at the safety position and at the linebacker position, where you have a feel for where the ball is going to go, because you've got to be around the ball if you play those positions. And you see players that have that. And that's what you got to have on your defense. You've got to have linebackers and safeties that have an intuitive intelligence where they can tell by the formation and the way the guys are in their stances and the way they go into a motion. They might have a motion across the field where you have a feel for what they're going to do. Mm-hmm. And, I can say thankfully that, the Eagles have some guys that have that, but they need more players that have that instinct. And they need a marquee linebacker that has that instinct.
Well, who fits that? Who's available now? Nakobe Dean? Do we give Jordan Davis, a former teammate?
Nakobe Dean would be a guy that if they could somehow get a hold of him, he has that instinct, and it's something where it doesn't measure out, at the combine. So when you run, they go, oh, we're not as thrilled about this guy. But that guy has that instinct, and it's something that you got to have, but you can't measure it at the combine. But you can look at it on tape and see, how did that guy get through there? And times you can look at tape and you can see where he came inside and he knew where to go in order to make the tackle. And that's something you can't teach. It's instinctive, and it's something that you got to have if you got a linebacker. And Nakobe Dean has it. So if whatever they could do to go get him, if they could get him, you could really the rest of the draft, it would be over if they could get him.
Really?
Oh, if they could get him.
Really?
I don't
Marc,
know.
do you agree?
The rest of the draft would be over?
All right, for the Eagles, like, we're good? We're set?
If they could go get Nakobe Dean, I would be happy with the rest of the draft.
Okay.
I think they can go get him. I don't think they have any interest, unfortunately. I would love for them to be interested, but I just don't think I think they got Hassan Reddick, and they said he'll play edge, he'll play linebacker. That's all we need right now. But he'll be in the role that Jannard Avery was in, but only, and I don't mean this literally because I want the guy to play, but on steroids. They'll ask a lot more of him than they did ever to ask Jannard Avery.
Hassan is really, he's a pass rusher. Mm-hmm. Playing off the line of scrimmage, I haven't seen him with those instincts.
I hope you're right. I hope you're right.
Yeah.
I just don't think they'll ever value that position as they once did. I think we're going to have to get used to the TJ Edwards of the world, the Davion Taylors of the world to start playing that linebacker position.
But how does selecting someone like Jordan Davis last night change? Like, does it change the way that they go into this draft and selecting their defensive talent?
I think that it does just frees up the linebackers. I mean, playing behind him, they got to double team him.
Yeah.
You know, and he is a stud already. When against the run, you can't run against that kid. He doesn't move. I mean, they put two guys on him. They're there at the line of scrimmage. They don't move. You don't move. I haven't seen the kid be moved yet. Mm-hmm. So against the run, he's already a phenom. But they've got to be able to develop him as a pass rusher. And that is the number one thing. And if I had just signed this kid or drafted this kid, I would meet him at the airport and start working with him, getting off the plane on how to slide and get a hold of that shoulder of the offensive lineman, to use those long arms to get around, because he's got to use his arms. He's got to be able to use those arms because he's got long arms, so he can reach a guy before he can reach him. So he has everything it takes to be a great pass rusher. But that is the Eagles draft. They got to teach this kid how to rush the passer, because that's going to be the key. He's got the talent to do it.
To answer your question, Devin, I don't think it changes their philosophy. I think it cements it, because this is just them investing again in the defensive line with somebody that's obviously a high draft pick, somebody that they valued very much to go up and draft. They're not looking to change anything as far as their defensive mindset goes or where they place value. They want that defensive line to be strong for even more years to come after Fletcher Cox's time with the Eagles is over, and that's what the Jordan Davis pick is. So, again, TJ Edwards, buy your jerseys. Buy the TJ Edwards jerseys. Buy the Davion Taylor jerseys.
You're not really
getting other than Mr. and Mrs. Edwards, probably not. Probably not. But my point is, it basically just comes down to the only value they're going to put on a linebacker is one that they see that can drop back in coverage like Hassan Reddick can attack the passer like Hassan Reddick can, or one that could just stand there and defend the middle of the field. But that's the role that they see for the linebacker spot, and somebody that won't necessarily be somebody to go up there and plug a gap again like this guy, but somebody that will just go out there and prevent the deep pass more than anything. Someone that is serviceable, not someone that's going to be making a Pro Bowl anytime soon.
All right.
Now, see, Jordan Davis does. He's going to keep the linebackers clean because they got a double team, and they're not going to be able to come out and get the linebackers. So they will be free to make plays.
All right. Well, we are going to get into that and more when we come back after this break. Stick around.
Field of life. First Trust Bank is there for you. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messa & Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder, and it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messalaw.com. Messa & Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Lincoln Financial Field is home to more than just our hometown team. It's a landing place for dreams. Invest in the future of our students from all over Philadelphia and get an exclusive tour of the stadium at the Block's Aspire to Dreams Gala, hosted by Brian Taff of 6ABC. While we aspire to build, our students aspire to dream. Join us for the Block's Gala on Thursday, May 5th at Lincoln Financial Field. Seats are limited, so reserve yours today at blocks.org/gala.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mama. Mama, go up, up.
She did it.
Again. You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Uh-huh. At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Welcome back to the JAKIB Draft Special. Devan Kaney joined by Garry Cobb, Marc Farzetta from Ocean Casino Resort. Guys, we were diving deep into the defensive needs, but let's talk about cornerbacks because one is already off the board, taken by the Titans. Marc, what does this mean for the Eagles?
Well, it means that they have one less guy that they can go after, unfortunately. And there's a rumor right now, and I know you're going to get to this in a second, that Petrie, one of the safeties that I was interested in, might be off the board as well, but we'll wait to confirm that. But right now, this is tough because, like I said, you can't just rely on Zach McPherson. You can't just rely on Avonte Maddox, who had the opportunity to take over that other starting corner spot. Didn't really grab that by the horns, unfortunately. Didn't take the reins there. Much better suited as that nickel corner, which is becoming but already is a very important spot. Still a huge question mark there for the Philadelphia Eagles, and there's going to be a big drop-off, especially after Andrew Booth eventually goes off the board out of Clemson. There's going to be a big drop-off there. So this hurts the Eagles in terms of what their next step would be defensively. After they address defensive line, I don't think they're going to go back to that spot early in the draft with selecting Jordan Davis. I think they're going to go to another route right now to try to take a corner or try to take a safety. Hopefully one of those guys are available.
Garry?
Well, the big thing is they need to find another corner. I mean, Steven Nelson was their starting corner away from Darius Slay this past year. He signed with the Texans, so he's not available. He's not there anymore. They need a cornerback, a guy that can cover and can go out there and just line up on a wideout and stay with him because they like to play, man-to-man some. They play a lot of zone, so he's got to be versatile, able to do both. But they got to have a starting caliber cornerback because I don't think they have one on the roster. And that's a position in the NFL that it's a marquee position because if you give them a little time with the receivers they have in the NFL, they will smoke you. They will burn you. And, you'll be chasing people into the end zone. So you got to be able to have quality, at least two quality cornerbacks that are comfortable playing man-to-man. Now, the Eagles play a lot of zone. When you're in zone coverage, you have help deep. You're not in a situation where you can get beat with with a deep route, and you can really kind of be exposed. But when you're in man-to-man, it's just you and that guy. So you got to have the quickness and the speed to be able to stay with the guy. Now, some corners are very good at coming up and bump and run, getting their hands on the wide receiver and delaying his route. And really, a lot of times the quarterback will come off that wide receiver if they get a good jam on him, because the quarterback has got a clock ticking in his head. And anything that he looks and he sees that this guy might not be there for a little bit, they're gone, because they know they got to get rid of the ball. So if you got an ability to come up and get a jam, you can be a pro corner. But if you can't jam, you got to be able to run with people. And you can't be in a situation where they can just run away from you all the time, or you're going to be giving up big plays. So cornerback has got to be able to play man-to-man. So I'm looking at the people that can play man-to-man. Marcus Jones is one of the guys they regard as a guy. He's out of Houston. He can play man-to-man. Only thing is, he's 5'8".
He's tiny.
You know,
he's a tiny guy.
He's tiny, 185 pounds. He can play man-to-man. He can cover a guy. But you just wonder if size, they're going to be able to just throw the ball up, and the guy's just going to be able to catch the ball without him being able to really put up a fight. So he's got a big question there with the size. But he is a guy who can play man-to-man. Marcus Jones of Houston, he could be there when the Eagles, when they draft, when they make their selection. Now, there have been guys who are 5'8", who are able to play because they've got great timing and leaping ability. So when the ball's there, they can jump up and knock the ball down. But see, that's something I don't know if Marcus has that ability to the extent that you need it, because you see, you got some huge receivers in the NFL now.
Yeah.
And so he could be the target, but he would satisfy a need they have. They gotta have a cornerback who can go out there and play man-to-man. Right now, I don't see the guy on their roster.
I think the Eagles right now have to be very careful, and this is no pun intended, for a 5'8" guy. They can't reach for a corner at this point. They can't do that. They have to make sure they stick to their board and take the best player available. If that is ending up being a guy like Nakobe Dean, I hope you're right. All this could fall into place for that. If this is more of a guy like David Ojabo, who I know a lot of people are dodging from the first round simply because of the Achilles injury that he suffered on the pro day, then I understand that. But this is an opportunity where you could see a situation similar, and sorry to say this name, Sidney Jones, where somebody with first-round talent falls to the second round. Or let's be optimistic about it and talk about a guy like Landon Dickerson, who also had his injury issues while he was at Alabama, and then you see him go through his first year in the league, actually playing pretty serviceable there as a right guard on this offensive line. So that, for me, is something that I want to see the Eagles be able to develop and maybe go after a position that maybe they might look at the corner right now and say, I absolutely need a corner, but this would be an opportunity for them to reach that I don't want to see them do.
Would that be a move, or is there a move that Howie Roseman could make tonight that would, I don't want to say negate, because I don't think you can negate what the massive moves he made last night in the first round, but kind of take away from the progress that Howie Roseman made in the first round?
Well, he could, I think he's a better trader than he is a drafter. He does a great job with trades. He's very creative with it. And it seems like he has a rapport with all the other GMs in the NFL, to where everybody, they like doing business with Howie. You see how he's able to maneuver. So he is very good at trade. So I could see him doing something and maybe doing too much trading. That's the thing, is you wonder how he maybe can do too much.
Too much trading.
Well, the reason he went with the move with A.J. Brown is a sure thing. It doesn't require drafting.
Right.
So if you draft, you don't know about a kid. You draft him, he comes in, he could be great on the college level, but you are not sure that he's going to be able to do the same thing on the pro level. A.J. Brown, though, when you make a trade, you already know this guy can shine on the NFL level. So that was a move that he made, and I kind of agree with it, because he knows he's a better trader than he is a drafter.
Yeah, and especially at the wide receiver position.
That's right. And so he went out and he got a sure thing, which is A.J. Brown.
And to answer your question, by the way, Devin,
yes,
absolutely. Howie Roseman can absolutely hit the reset button and make us all just hate him again.
Because he's always keeping us on our toes.
I mean, it really is. And I give him all the credit in the world. Yesterday was yesterday, and I was really excited yesterday. It was fantastic sports life, one of the best days ever.
Yeah.
But in terms of what he could do today,
right?
Oh, he can erase
you can never trust him.
Oh, he can erase
He's like an inconsistent boyfriend. You never know what you're going to get.
He's got Jordan Davis, right? He got A.J. Brown, a starting Pro Bowl wide receiver.
But he waited until I was so disappointed in the lack of moves made by the Eagles. Because, Mark, you know this from the postgame show.
Yes.
I ended the Eagles season being hopeful, saying, okay,
Yeah.
you know what? We were kind of rebuilding, finding our identity. We made it to the playoffs. We lost horribly, but we still made it.
Yeah.
Jalen Hurts shows promise, bring in an established receiver, give him the help he needs. And receiver became available, didn't get him, and it happened time and time again. And then draft night comes around, and it's like, okay, I guess we're doing this thing again where Howie drafts a receiver.
But he did it.
And then he's like, boom. Got you all.
He did not need to scout anybody.
No.
He got NFL proven talent. Yeah, absolutely. But in terms of for the draft vibes, in other words, for what goes on until training camp, yes, Howie Roseman could kill the mood like that boyfriend you were referring a minute ago, Devin.
I don't see how he could do it. What could he do?
Reach for a pick. I think if he reaches for a pick.
What if he goes out and Malik Willis is still on board? What if he gets a quarterback? And that would be a vibe killer. That would
now if he did it, I don't think they're sure about Jalen. I mean, if we can just be honest.
I agree.
I think they're not sure about Jalen. That's why they moved that pick into next year. They got 2 first-round picks.
But I think the moves they made last night showed us that they are hopeful that Jalen Hurts works out, and they're willing to give him the help that he needs.
That's right. I agree with that. But if we can just be totally honest, they are not sure about Jalen. Look at the game they had against Tampa. They're in the playoffs. It was like he wasn't sure what he was doing out there.
Yeah, they called him out on their sideline, on the Bucs sideline, saying this guy can't read a defense.
Come on. So we know that he's not there yet. He hasn't proven he can take this team to a Super Bowl. He hasn't proven that. Now, I love Jalen. I think he's the kind of kid that's going to work at it. If anybody is going to be able to develop to where he is going to be the guy, it's going to be Jalen because he's going to put in the work and everything. But we just have to be honest. He hasn't shown that yet, that he is a guy that can win a Super Bowl, that he can take this team to a Super Bowl. He hasn't proven that. So if they were to do something and go out and get Malik Willis, which I think would be a shocker, then Jalen would be fine with it because he doesn't mind competition. He's not like Carson where he would just start crying and asking for, I want my mommy. No, he's not going to do that. So he could deal with it, but that would be a shocker if he did that. But if we just be flat out honest, they're not sure about Jalen Hurts.
Yeah, no, right now he's I hate to say a last resort, but because I don't feel like necessarily that, but I think after everything went down with say Russell Wilson going to Denver, and the Eagles were supposedly in on that to the very last minute, and they said so literally at the combine they're talking about
and really honestly, should they have been interested?
You got to knock on every door.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So I don't see. So he would be interested in a lot of the quarterbacks in the league. So he calls and he's intrigued by it and finds out what's going on. I don't think that anything that Howie could do that could really mess things up what he did yesterday.
I love Jalen Hurts. I'm rooting for Jalen Hurts to be the quarterback here.
But are you sure that he could take this team to the Super Bowl?
But that's my point.
Well, so today I don't know if I fully agree. I think that I'm excited to see what the Eagles can do with their additions. I think their offense especially looks promising. But I've heard a lot of people saying, Eagles are winning the NFC East next year for sure.
It's possible.
Had they gotten a Russell Wilson, we would be talking about a Super Bowl. It's now all on Jalen Hurts because he's the weapons he needs.
Exactly. He's got the weapons. But here's the deal. If you're watching this, if you're listening to this, and you're saying right now, there's no way Jalen Hurts is the guy, he stinks, or he's absolutely the guy, give him a 10-year deal, then I want everyone to keep watching.
Dishonest either way.
But here's the deal. If you know that, stop watching, go to an NFL front office and get a job because you know more than anybody ever.
That's right.
Here's what I don't bet against. I don't bet against the guy that has the least bit of talent but the biggest work ethic. You know why? Because that guy's going to work his butt off. Isn't that what we ask of all our athletes?
Yeah, that's
Give us all you got. What did he say the whole time, Deshaun Watson? I'm above it, all this other stuff. He kept on working. He's already working with Tom House in Southern California, making sure he can improve his accuracy. I know his arm strength gets a lot of attention. I think that's unwarranted. Accuracy is what he needs.
That's what it is.
Nick Foles did not have some cannon of an arm, but when he threw the ball downfield, he was very accurate.
For a while.
Can put the ball there.
For a while. Until he signed a new contract.
Until he was godlike, and then all of a sudden, a little humble. Yeah. But when it comes to a guy like Jalen Hurts, I'm not going to bet against him because I feel like the guy's got the right work ethic. He's got the right mentality. It's a matter of that talent catching up with that level.
I agree with that, but he clearly has not shown that he's the guy yet. And that's why whatever Howie does at the quarterback position, if he's looking at Russell Wilson and he's talking about anybody that might be available, marquee guys, he should be doing that. That's doing his job. So I think what Howie did was, it was definitely disappointing throughout the offseason that they didn't get a veteran receiver. You know, we were expecting them to get a veteran receiver. You know, there were different people they went after, but
Zach Pascal.
Yeah, I mean, but
right.
But
yeah,
we
the
hear
signings were Howie Roseman himself to
That's
like
right.
a 3-year extension and
That's
Zach
right.
Pascal.
You're right. So everybody was disappointed. I was very disappointed. Here they did not get a veteran receiver, but then here in the draft they make a move where if they were going to say we got AJ Brown, that's the guy we made the move for. I'm going, Howie, give me some, my man. You are my man.
Yeah, but you know, I think Jalen Hurts is a big reason that AJ Brown signed with us. They'd been working out together. They're clearly friends from that video that we talked about. And I also think,
but that $100 million is probably part of it too.
I mean, maybe just a small part,
57
maybe a
million
small part.
guaranteed, not a bad day.
But he's a great player. Right now, I couldn't have thought of many guys in the league that they could have acquired that made me get as positive about AJ Brown, because he's a veteran receiver. He's only 24 years old. He's already had 3 outstanding seasons. He's been a Pro Bowler already. He's had a season where he averaged 20 yards a catch. So he's a deep threat. But not only is he a deep threat, but he's strong. He's physical. So he won't take anything from any DB. He can beat up most DBs, and that's what he does. He's very physical. So he's a combination of the two. Everything that you could have wanted in a wide receiver, they get in AJ Brown. Great hands. Got all the skills. They have a featured #1 receiver. Now a guy like Devontae Smith can come along. He doesn't have to be the lead guy, and he can be developed. And, you know, from what we hear, A.J. Brown's got great, work habits and everything. So he's got everything you want. And the fact that Howie did it after I felt like hitting him after not coming up with a wide receiver the whole offseason.
I was very frustrated because it told me that they had no faith. It told me that they were just saying, you know what, this season's a wash. And
that's right.
The whole team that was like, oh, we don't have the quarterback, so no need to bring in a receiver.
That's right.
That logic never made any sense to me. But speaking of defense, Jalen, Marc, I know you mentioned it earlier, it is confirmed that Jalen Petrie was taken by Houston and Kyler Gordon, cornerback, was just taken by the Bears.
Big. That's
so
big. Yeah. Andrew Booth's still on the board.
Options are dwindling here.
Andrew Booth's still on the board.
Yeah, he's still on the board.
Out of Clemson. So
now that would be great if they could get him.
That would be amazing. If he fell to 51, that'd be pretty incredible. And
because he's 6 feet. See, he doesn't have the size issue, that Marcus Jones has.
He's 6 foot, and also the same 40 time as Marcus Jones.
Yeah.
So that's a bigger guy, same speed. I'll take that in today's NFL.
Yeah, if they could get him, boy, if they got Andrew Booth, I'd say if they come out here and you got a starting cornerback that you were able to acquire in the second day, you know what? I might even give Howie a hug. How's that?
I don't know. Would that be Howie, though? That might just be luck, which is very uncharacteristic of Philadelphia.
This is what Howie does.
Hey, if that's what it takes, if they were able to get Andrew Booth, you've got a cornerback that can step in, that you got a starting young corner. Think about it. You went out, you got a marquee guy in the middle of the defense in Jordan Davis, and then you got your young corner who's a starter, and those guys are going to be together. And, of course, you got Darius Slay on the other side. Now, like I said, if they make that happen, I got a hug for Howie. Next time I see him, I'm going to give him a hug.
That's adorable.
I've never heard anyone say they want to hug Howie Roseman.
Well,
you know what? For everything. All right. Well, we still have several picks to go before we reach the Eagles at 51. So stick around. For now, we're going to take a break. See you on the other side.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
What's that?
A rocks glass?
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
Holy shit.
And you're telling me I can get one of these glasses for free?
That's right. One free rocks glass per customer with each first-time purchase of Stateside Vodka. So good, it just disappears.
it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on the shoulder. And it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messonlaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
At Action News, we cherish every moment, and it's our profound responsibility to bring you closer to your work. Never miss a moment. Trust the people at Action News.
Field of life. First Trust Bank is there for you. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
All right, did you know I was the mommy slam dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, I go to left, fake a mom. Mama go up, up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
Lincoln Financial Field is home to more than just our hometown team. It's a landing place for dreams. Invest in the future of our students from all over Philadelphia and get an exclusive tour of the stadium at the Blocks Aspire to Dreams Gala, hosted by Brian Taff of 6ABC. While we aspire to build, our students aspire to dream. Join us for the Blocks Gala on Thursday, May 5th at Lincoln Financial Field. Seats are limited, so reserve yours today at blocks.org/gala.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the memories. Go to get your spin on. Go to get your spa on. Go for the bubbles in the bathtub. And in your drink. Go for the steaks. And the steak. Go for him. Go for her. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
Hey, Eagles fans, it's Marc here from IBW Local 98. Now let's get back to the draft here on 6 ABC.
Welcome back to the JAKIB Draft Special. I'm Devan Kaney, joined by Garry, Cobb, and Marc Farzetta here, making our way through round 2 at Ocean Casino Resort. Guys, Seattle just took a linebacker in Mafe. A cornerback is off the board, but Booth Jr. remains. What does this mean, Marc? How hopeful are you?
I'm very hopeful at this point. I mean, at this point in the draft, what are we looking at right now?
As you're furiously refreshing your browser.
I am, because I want to make sure that Booth isn't off the board just yet.
Yeah.
Now, I still think it's unlikely that he falls down to the Eagles.
Yeah.
But here's what we're doing, because we're at 41. Actually, no, that Seattle
They
reported.
just had 2 and second pick is in right
Second
now.
pick is in right
Yes.
now. Okay, just making sure. So they took Mafe, and then they have a running back off the board as well. So now you're within striking distance with Howie Roseman if he has the opportunity to move up. There we see a Ken Walker III being taken right there by Seattle with their second of 2 consecutive picks. So it's an opportunity right now. You can look at David Ojabo. You can look at Nakobe Dean. You could possibly look at a guy like Andrew Booth if he does fall down to this spot. I was surprised that Seattle didn't go back-to-back with defensive picks here, knowing how much Seattle loves that defense, knowing how much they want to reinstall the Legion of Boom. But right now, I'm getting eager and quite frankly anxious for Howie Roseman to make some kind of move here. I doubt that he will, for the record. But they're getting close right now to getting some playmakers on the defensive side of the football. One where they could double down on the defensive line with a guy like a Jabo and have a little bit of a draft and stash type of situation, given the idea that the Achilles would most likely lead to him playing next year, not this year. Or they could go to the linebacker position with a guy like Nakobe Dean. The more this goes and the more they start to look at, and we don't even have a quarterback off the board yet in the second round. The more you start to look at these different spots right now, the more likely it is the Eagles could get a guy that would, again, raise eyebrows of Eagles fans.
Yeah. Garry?
And by the way, fulfill your prophecy, doing the post-game show, Garry, she wanted nothing but defense.
I did.
Nothing but defense. Every pick, defense.
I stand by that, except like right before the draft, especially in the first round, I was like, okay, well, maybe I guess we don't, because we didn't get a wide receiver like I wanted.
That's right.
So then I was like, okay, maybe we pull a Howie Roseman and go 3 years in a row with that, but, which
Yes.
we kind of did.
I feel good about Howie right now. You know, I'm not hating Howie right now, but
you were hugging him a second ago.
Well, you know what? If the things continue the way they are, you know, he's gonna get a guy which you know nobody thought he's gonna have a chance at. I mean, you know you're gonna have Dean. One of those guys is probably gonna be there. Of course, Andrew Booth. The Eagles do not have a start. They don't have two starting cornerbacks. They just really don't have them on the roster. So they could get Andrew Booth out of Clemson, who is a cornerback who has the ability to play man-to-man. He's pretty good at moving up and playing that bump and run where he's getting the jam on the receiver. He's got that size and the arm length and everything that you need, you know, and that 6 foot. You know, he can run with the guy. He's got everything that you would want to have that marquee cornerback, because you got to be able to cover man-to-man. And the NFL is now a passing league. It is not a running league.
Mm-hmm.
You look at all the key positions, they're all about the passing game. Starts, you know, with the quarterback, of course. The quarterback is the marquee position. Then you look at the wide receivers and all the things offensively, the offensive line. That's all about the passing game, protecting the quarterback. But defensively, key position is putting pressure on the cornerback and putting pressure on the quarterbacks. And the key position is covering the wide receivers. And Andrew Booth would, I said, well, they probably won't have a shot at him. So, of course, I was looking at, the little guy from Houston, Marcus Jones, who's only 5'8".
You have to say little guy before a football player. He's not the one. He's not the guy.
There have been little guys, though, that have shocked people, you know, and been able to play. But you'd rather have guy with size, because most of the time, big guys beat up little guys. You know, it's not always the case, but most of the time that's what you have. So if you got a guy 6 feet who can go out there and play man-to-man and everything, right away, that would move the Eagles' defense, you know, to another level where they are starting to get to the point. And the whole thing the Eagles are thinking now, and I want everybody to grab this, because of the fact that they won a Super Bowl a few years ago, they're not just trying to get to the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
They're not thinking about, you know, we want to be a team that's competitive. That's not what they're thinking about. They're thinking about, what will it take to win a Super Bowl?
Mm-hmm.
Is this the kind of guy that's going to help us win another Super Bowl? And really, in talking to Howie, and he's right. That's the way he thinks now. And really, in fairness to Howie, he might have been the key person when it came to winning the Super Bowl.
Oh, for sure.
Because he was on a run that year. Everybody he touched, all of the players that he grabbed that year were key moves with the Super Bowl. He grabbed them right at the right time. A lot of those guys were near the end of their careers, but he got them when they were at their peak and they were seasoned enough to where they could come in and contribute. Now he's trying to do that, utilizing his trading ability. The A.J. Brown move was a marquee move. If he gets Andrew Booth, you got to give him an applause, because he comes out and you got a starting cornerback you got with your your second round pick.
Well, we just had a trade, and I'm kind of dreading who the Vikings are going to take here. Might not be good news for the Eagles and their cornerback aspirations.
In cornerback aspirations, it could not be, but in safety aspirations, it could be.
Why?
Because they took in the first round, they took a safety and Scene. So now now they have an opportunity here to maybe pass on a guy like Jaquan Brisker, of Penn State, who I know all the Penn State fans really know and love. Very aggressive safety. Again, it's still unlikely. I mean, Booth still being on the board right now, technically. We'll see what happens here with this Vikings pick. But Booth being on the board here is still an opportunity for the Eagles to get one of the 4 following players. Maybe Brisker, maybe Ajabo, maybe Dean, maybe Booth. we'll see how this plays out here with the Vikings and where they're picking right now. Hopefully they're not taking one of these guys off the board, but obviously we're coming in more and more striking distance of where Howie Roseman and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to be selecting at 51. So I'm going to go ahead and hold out hope. I'm going to just carry on that positive juju from yesterday into this round, and hopefully the things still fall into place for the Eagles.
I think things look good. I mean, a lot of the people, they're still on the board. I mean, they can't take everybody.
Yeah.
So there's going to be a marquee guy there that can meet a need the Eagles have. And they do need additional help with their pass rush, coming from the outside.
Yeah, but you can't. If you want Super Bowl, you can't win a Super Bowl without a cornerback. But
I mean, I agree. So they are going to have to get get them from somewhere.
Well,
but who knows? Maybe they would end up going out and kind of getting patchwork where they would get a veteran cornerback who's out there on the street now who could come in and just at least play the position. Because really, last year with Steven Nelson, that's what he was. He was just patchwork. He's not
I mean, last season the Eagles defense was so, and Marc, you know this, so infuriating to watch that.
Hey, look, I acknowledge that they did better in the second half of the year. Their schedule also got a hell of a lot easier. Let's not forget that. But also, let's not forget this. When you think about the safety position for the Philadelphia Eagles, how often they're tied to a guy like the Honey Badger. And that could be a direction that they end up going in free agency if they don't go in the draft here for a safety.
Yeah, I mean, unconfirmed too, but I heard that Honey Badger was waiting. He hasn't signed anywhere because he's waiting to see how every team did in the draft. You look at the Eagles. Eagles got an A+ in the draft, at least in the first round. So looking pretty appetizing, at least if I were him.
Yeah, now see, the thing with a Honey Badger, though, in fairness, they don't have all the pieces. If I were to be honest about it, I don't think they have the pieces to win the Super Bowl. I think the Honey Badger is the kind of guy you go out, if you're close enough to win a Super Bowl, that's when you go out and get a veteran like him. Now,
but then why get someone like A.J. Brown?
Well, A.J. Brown's he's 24. See, he's got
I get it.
I mean, he's got a lot of great years ahead. Honey Badger's in his 30s. He's really his best of his career is really behind him. So that's why I would say that that's why the special thing about A.J. Brown is he's a marquee guy, but he's very young.
And that price is going down every day with Honey Badger. So they might be able to get him at discount shopping. So before training camp, they could also sign him as well if they're not able to get that safety. The guy that I want.
But Honey Badger, really, let's be honest, he's as old as I am.
Oh, sure.
Honey Badger's old.
Well, do you want him? Do you want him or Epps? Who do you want as your starting safety next to Anthony Harris?
I would want Honey Badger. Yeah. Plus, he's
as well.
He's going to teach a lot of your young guys too. It's going to be great to have him around and showing how he plays the game and how smart he is and how he's able to decipher things. That really is great for a young safety to be able to see how you look at formations, how you read things the quarterback's doing. That's the thing he would do. He would really be like an additional coach. That's what would be great about him. But you need to have some outstanding young safeties that he can teach, not guys that really just aren't that good.
Are the Vikings holding us hostage?
I was just going to say the anticipation with this Vikings pick is driving me crazy. I feel like we've been waiting forever.
Yeah.
So I think things are going to work out tonight.
Their stage managers literally came out and be like, get to the pick, pal. I don't know what the guy's talking about. Watch it be some great humanitarian thing that I'm going to get ripped on Twitter for later. But just make your pick.
Yeah, you can't hear the sound, but it just looked like he was chatting for very. Oh, and now we're.
Oh, come on, man.
This is entertaining.
This guy had jet black hair when the segment started. Come on, bro. Make your pick.
But it's okay because.
Andrew Booth.
No.
No, not Andrew Booth.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
Yeah. All right. And with that, we are going to go to break. So we have a few minutes to process this. Stick around and we'll be right back.
Field of life. First Trust Bank is there for you. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
When it comes to the fight against insurance companies, large corporations, and the healthcare industry, injured victims are always the underdog. But that doesn't worry us. At Messon Associates, we're an injury law firm from Philadelphia, and we come to fight. Our clients know that they've got representation with a chip on its shoulder. And it's the same chip that makes Philly the toughest city in the country. Call 215-568-3500 or visit us online at messonlaw.com. Messon Associates, the toughest injury firm in Philadelphia.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story in action.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Lincoln Financial Field is home to more than just our hometown team. It's a landing place for dreams. Invest in the future of our students from all over Philadelphia and get an exclusive tour of the stadium at the Block's Aspire to Dreams Gala, hosted by Brian Taff of 6ABC. While we aspire to build, our students aspire to dream. Join us for the Block's Gala on Thursday, May 5th at Lincoln Financial Field. Seats are limited, so reserve yours today at blocks.org/gala.
All right, did you know I was the Mommy Slam Dunk champion?
Really?
Yes, really don't sound so surprised.
Let's see it.
Oh, you're ready. All right, here we go. Let's hear the crowd. So go to right, go to left, fake them out. Mama, go up, up.
She did it.
Again? You can't avoid gravity, but United Healthcare can help you avoid financial surprises by helping you compare costs and doctor quality ratings. United Healthcare.
At Stateside Vodka, every new customer gets the world's best rocks glass, free.
You're telling me that bottle is cut in half?
You could say that.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
To learn more about who we are, what we do, and career opportunities with Local 98, visit us, IBEW98.org.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hits. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Welcome back to the JAKIB Draft Special. I am Devan Kaney, joined by Garry, Cobb, Marc, Farzetta, coming to you live from Ocean Casino Resort. Guys, we're going to dive into some of these picks, but first, let me tell you about the Gallery Bar, Book, and Game set to debut this summer here at Ocean. Ocean's 12,000 square foot, $5 million venue will enhance the guest experience by providing an unbeatable atmosphere right in the heart of the casino floor. Should be a good time, you guys, but what is not a good time is knowing that Andrew Booth is off the board and our cornerbacks are dwindling. So, Marc, I know you've been kind of furiously refreshing your browser and eliminating the options that the Eagles have. What are you thinking?
Well, I'm thinking the Giants are dumb. Let me just get that out of the way.
Yeah,
good
that also
Lord.
happened.
They just take a wide receiver, not even on my chart here. Good for them. But anyway, as far as the Eagles go right now, still Brisker is the guy that I am just ecstatic is still on the board right now for the Eagles. And then these other names, if they want to roll the dice again on Ojabo, they can do that at this point. They want to roll the dice maybe on the Nakobe Dean. That's not as much, obviously, of a dice roll, but he's still there. You have good first-round talent that's still on the board at this point. I'm still shocked at where we were a couple of weeks ago versus where we are now with the quarterback conversation.
Oh, my gosh.
Because one guy's come off the board, and shocker, he went to Pitt, and that's Kenny Pickett. So you still have all these quarterbacks on the board that nobody's really seemed to be batting an eye at least right now. I would love for a bunch of those guys to go off the board at this point because right now you're at 43. Obviously, we're waiting to get to the Eagles at 51. Please let there be some kind of run. Let some of those people actually be true about what kind of quarterbacks they were going after. You look at the Texans on the board right now. Then you can look at the Ravens. They're not going to go in that spot. Detroit, you can look at that. The commies, I believe, is what we were calling them last night. Is that what we were calling the Commodores or the Commanders? Excuse me, of Washington.
Team. I refuse to give them a name.
And then KC isn't going to go there as well.
I know that we get so enamored at when a guy is drafted, but remember, there's so many great players that have been drafted in latter rounds. Second round, third round, fourth round. So the guys now, regardless of when they get drafted, if they can play, they can play. So even though we are looking at the guys and we're looking at their, weaknesses and how they evaluate it, so many players, guys that are in the Hall of Fame, were drafted in the second round. So this is really a round which has really been good to the Eagles. They have had some marquee, Brian Dawkins was drafted in the second round. Guys in the Hall of Fame, and he came here in the second round. So if they can get a safety, maybe they do get a safety in the second round.
Well, think about that. Not just Dawkins, but he worked out the best. Let's not get.
Yeah.
Nate Allen was a second round pick.
Yep.
Not that I'm proud of this. He's a Temple guy. I love him. Jaquay Jarrett was a second round pick. He was a safety.
Right. Where else are we going?
Well, then let's just follow the suit. Let's follow the suit. No, it's a good opportunity for them.
But the thing is that we're evaluating guys, but remember, a lot of these guys after they're drafted. Then you don't hear about, he went in this round, that round. Can he play? So this is a key spot now where they've got to be able to get the second pick where even if it's not at a position that of need so much, you got to get a guy that is going to be able to come in and be a contributor to this football team. So maybe a Jabo is the way you go, where you're able to get another pass rusher where you have to wait a little time. But the thing about Jabo, the reason I like him so much is he hasn't played much football. Played basketball.
Right.
And he has got all the measurables and he's been starting to come on. So he could wind up being that his ceiling is higher than maybe some of these guys that have been playing a long time. That's why David Ojabo would be a guy that if they look at their board and he's the number one guy on their board, I'd love to see them go get him because a pass rusher, a marquee pass rusher, he can cover over problems in your secondary. If you got a guy that's getting to the quarterback all the time.
But hold up, because it seems now we're talking about pass rushers. We're saying, okay, now maybe a safety, now maybe a linebacker sounds okay. Are we giving up on the cornerback position? Is that done? Is there anyone still on the board who we would be excited about?
But the Eagles may have those guys rated higher than any of their cornerbacks. So I would say, you get the guy that you have rated higher. Sometimes teams will get away from their board and not take the guy that's highest on the board and then later on find out that this guy was an all-star or maybe even Hall of Famer later on, that they didn't stay with what they believed. So that's why if they got David Ojabo, they got him with the bigger upside. And he's the guy who they might have on the board and be excited about him because he's a phenomenal athlete. He hasn't played football that long and he's already an elite guy and hasn't even played football that long. So he's got a bigger upside than a lot of the other guys. So Ojabo is a guy who maybe they should go get.
Look who just joined us.
What?
Hi, Mike Quick. How are you?
We just made a draft pick. Mike Quick's here, ladies and gentlemen. We're fantastic.
I like what G's talking about. Ojabo, Nakobe Dean, in this situation, they fit perfectly for what this team wants to do, where they are, and the guys that are still left on the board. Yeah. Absolutely, I'm with you.
And by the way, another wide receiver just went off the board to the Texans. So now we're 7 spots away from where the Eagles select, and there's about 4 different guys that could very much help this Eagles team, especially their defense. I mean, you mentioned Dean, you mentioned Ojabo. Obviously, those are guys that everyone's going to look at. I really like Brisker out of Penn State, that safety position. I think it'd be a big upgrade over what they have already.
Well, they certainly need other players at the safety position. There's not enough bodies there. When you go into training camp, you're going to need extra bodies there. I know that in free agency, they're going to sign some guys. There are going to be some guys that aren't drafted tomorrow, and some of these guys are going to end up making a roster. There are going to be some free agents that are not going to be drafted, that are good enough to play in the National Football League, that are going to make some rosters and make some teams very happy that they're not spending a big buck on them, but they have an opportunity to bring them into camp and get them ready to play.
Now, Mike, the Eagles made a move last night. A lot of people were angry at Howie that he didn't go out and get a wide receiver during the offseason. I was one of them. The move to get A.J. Brown, how good of a move was that?
I think it was one of the best moves that we've seen in the entire draft. I really like what they were able to do last night. Having a guy who's a seasoned veteran, a proven commodity in this league. It's so important when you have a young roster that they have, the young group of receivers. When I came into the league, I had guys who are veterans, and it's so important that you have that, and you know that you have somebody that you can look at, that you can model your game after, or just watch the way they go about their profession. It really helps the young guys.
Well, I tell you, boy, I'm happy about it.
I think we're all happy about it.
Yeah.
It definitely seems like it kind of took the Eagles from okay, they're still a work in progress to okay, they could maybe win the NFC East. I've heard that a lot today. That's not personally coming from me. I still don't know what to expect because it depends on who they get tonight. It depends on what they do the rest of the offseason. What do you think the Eagles' biggest needs are, especially defensively, tonight and up until training camp?
And it truly is, in my mind, defensively is where they need help. And I start at the linebacker position and the cornerback position. But there are needs. The safety position is one that comes to mind. But you're going to have somebody to play opposite Darius Slay. You definitely need that guy, and I don't think they have that guy. But with what Jonathan Gannon wants to do defensively, you need another solid linebacker, one who's has multiple talents. He can do a lot of different things. He's going to have to be a pass cover guy. He's going to have to be a guy that you can count on when you want to blitz a linebacker off the edge, or all of these stunts that they like to run, even coming inside with the linebacker. So you're going to have a multifaceted linebacker or a safety. That's what I'm looking for.
You know, they got a guy on the board, Marcus Jones. He's got everything you want. He's got the cover skills. Only thing is 5'8".
Keep talking about we don't need a 5'8" player. We don't. Also, Ajabo is off.
David Ajabo went off. Ajabo went off the board to the Ravens. Unfortunately,
not good for us.
Yeah.
No, but it's still. You're talking about now 6 picks away from when the Eagles pick into 61, or excuse me, 51, and you have an opportunity still. Brisker's still on the board. That's a guy I'm crossing my fingers for. But I mean, just to go back to what you were saying about Marcus Jones.
Yeah,
he's a guy that obviously you can't teach height. Unfortunately.
Yeah. So one of the things that Chip Kelly left me with, and was not very much, but big guys beat up small guys.
Right.
Yeah. And you want to have, if you look at the talented receivers around the league, you really want to have big guys on the corner, guys that can play press coverage and guys who can certainly run with those guys. A 5'8" guy, we have that guy.
Yeah.
You know, you have guys that can play inside in the slot. You want some bigger guys on the outside. We're going to challenge these bigger receivers and get in their face and have the ability to run with them.
Well, he didn't leave you with your favorite smoothie recipe?
No.
That didn't really happen as much?
He said one thing that I really, and I believe that. You know, when you draft a guy like the big kid that the Eagles drafted out of Georgia, big guys. They beat up smaller guys.
Right.
Yeah. How did Jordan Davis, how did that selection change how the Eagles are going to pick tonight? And did it at all?
I don't think it did. I think that the Eagles saw that if they didn't move up, that John Harbaugh down in Baltimore, that's the perfect prototype for what he likes to do.
Yeah.
He likes that big guy on the center who's going to beat up the center and make things difficult in the middle, a guy who can push the pocket. He loves that. And the Eagles moved up knowing that that's probably who Harbaugh. But so John had two things in mind. He had a safety in mind, and he did get the safety, but he also had that big run stopper in the middle who could also push the pocket in mind.
Now, regarding to the young fella, I wanted to put a regional block, making sure he does not eat any cheesesteaks. Now, do you think we can get that accomplished and stop Jordan from eating any? We don't even want him to taste any. Because he's going to
not even allowed to enter a cheesesteak
that's right. He can't
establishment.
That's right.
You know what's really interesting about that comment? This guy right here eats more than anybody.
He can eat. He can absolutely eat. That's for sure. I believe he's the only one that's visited our catering table so far, and you can do some damage, my friend.
But we got to just make sure. Well, the big thing that with Jordan Davis though is the development.
Yes. Well, it's two things. I think he has to be in top shape. And for a guy that big, I think if he can get down to 225, 230, just think about that. We're talking about somebody getting their weight down to 300.
How does one even do that?
To 330 pounds. So I think if that happens and he stays in the best shape that he can be in, I think he's going to be a much more effective player. You saw him like the latter part of the season, and especially in the postseason when he went to the bowl game. he just wasn't ready.
Yeah.
Because he spent too much time at the table. And you got to do those push-aways. and you got to push away from that table so that you're the most effective player you can be.
We talked about whether or not he's entering the perfect spot at the perfect time in terms of going amongst veterans like Fletcher Cox, Brandon Graham, guys like that, that guys that will be positive influences on him. Is Fletcher Cox ready to be that guy? I think he is in terms of passing the baton. No, he's in the final year, that 1 year deal that he signed. Is he ready to be more of a groomer than a guy that's going to go up there and really put up those great numbers?
That is a really good point. You've got good veteran guys around him and Fletcher Cox and Hargrave, out of South Carolina. So you really need that when you come into the league. And just watching how those guys work, watching how they prepare each week, watching how they study their opponent, watch tape, and get ready with the game plan to play against different guys. You got to go into a game with a game plan for the guys that you're playing against. The moves that you want to put on them, the counter moves that you want to, all of those things. He'll learn those things from hanging out with those veteran guys.
And that's right. And they got to teach him that one exercise that he needs to have, which is not the push-ups, but it's the push-aways. he got to do those push-aways from that table. That's what he's got to do.
Listen, it's Philadelphia, and the food is great in Philadelphia. Yep. And he's going to have to go around. And is Geno's your favorite?
He's going to have to try him.
Is Delisandro's your
question.
favorite? Right. He's going to have to go around to all the cheesesteaks, and everybody's going to want to feed this guy because they know he's a guy that likes to eat. So he has to be able to exercise some restraint.
They call it self-control.
Man, wait till he gets a load of all the cheese samples and stuff like that. Like not just provolone,
don't let
but
him
like
into
sharp
Reading Terminal
provolone
Market.
cheese.
Yeah, just don't even let it.
If you travel the country, you know that we got like the good like Italian cheeses and stuff over there.
That's right. Yeah, but I dream of seeing him being in that middle though, where he's making them double team him. He's pushing that pocket. He's pushing that center or the guard back into the quarterback's face, because quarterbacks hate that. You know, they can deal with the outside pressure. But that pressure in their face, and really the greatest of all, Brady, that's the one thing he hates, is that pressure up the gut, because it really deflects and hurts their vision. They can't see the field.
Well, for any quarterback, you want to be able to step into the throw. You want to be able to finish the throw. And if you have someone in your lap and too close to you, and that's what big guys like that are able to do, and that's how they affect the game, then it just throws your timing off, throws your rhythm off in the passing game, and that's affecting the quarterback. This is a passing league, and if you're able to somehow affect the passing game, then it helps.
All right, Mike.
Oh, no. Literally happening right now on the monitor in front of us.
I told you.
Happening live, he has a massive Subway sandwich. Oh my God.
Who's carrying the draft right now literally has Jordan Davis carrying a Subway sub.
That is the most perfect
and it looks
thing.
like a 2-foot long.
You started yelling about cheesesteaks. I'm like, what's he yelling about? Is someone bringing us cheesesteaks? What's going on? That was perfect. Mike Quick, thank you. I don't want to, we appreciate you coming by, but I do want to ask you one quick question before we let you go. You've been around this team for a while. You know how he always has tricks up his sleeve. Does he have anything up his sleeve for us tonight at 51?
Yes.
All right.
Okay.
So I believe that there's some way that he wants to move it. I know that right now he's on the phone. He's trying to figure out, and he's talked to several GMs already, and he's trying to maneuver something. I think he wants a linebacker. I think he wants a cornerback, and Howie works magic in that way. He really is good. He's one of the best in the National Football League at positioning himself, positioning this team to go up and make great selections.
All right. Well, we'll see. Mike Quick, thank you so much for stopping by.
Who's having a better offseason on the golf course, you or Merrill? Give us the scoop.
That would be me.
That's what I thought. That's
Have
what
a good night, guys.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Mike Quick. Awesome.
All right.
Thanks a lot.
I've seen those two talk trash to each other about their golf games.
Well,
really?
It's pretty
that doesn't,
exciting.
after meeting Mike Quick, that does not surprise me.
Well, the thing is, Merrill coaches you. See, he will start trying to coach your swing and things, because I can't say I'm the greatest golfer, but So they're going to start.
So Mike
coaching.
doesn't coach you. He's like, no, you're out on your own.
He doesn't really coach you there. He'll say something to you later on, so he'll give you a chance to do your thing, and then he'll just drop a little nugget on you, because he is very skilled. He's an outstanding golfer.
All right, man of
There we
many
go.
talents. There
That's
you
right.
go.
Yeah.
All right, so
We're one pick closer,
We're
and
one
it wasn't a
pick
corner.
closer.
It wasn't a safety. It was a defensive tackle out of Alabama. Fedarian Mathis went off the board there. So still getting closer and closer. The Commodores? Commanders.
I like the Commodores better.
I like the
a little
Commodores
bit.
too.
Yeah.
Exactly. But they took a defensive tackle. So
Okay.
the kid out of Alabama. So Ajabo off the board. Obviously, Nakobe Dean still there.
Mm-hmm.
Our fingers are getting crossed here.
I think
more and more.
I'm gonna say Nakobe Dean is my pick. If he's still on the board at 51, I think that's who I'm gonna root for.
I was talking to some people, some beat writers, about the possibility of Nakobe Dean.
Mm-hmm.
Laughed in my face. Not a chance. They go
that he's going to be gone. Okay.
Probably that he would be
That
gone.
would be amazing if they were to do it. I mean,
Yeah.
but we're in the second round. We're not in the first round.
The whole new ball game.
This is something they have done in the past, where at least they would take a linebacker in the second round. But you're talking about a guy that's got the ability to be a big play guy, a guy that's a leader, a guy that was a leader on a national championship team, and that leadership quality and his ability, as I said, about having those instincts to be around the ball, really make him very out. Just you can't help but just say, boy, like a good meal.
Yeah.
I mean, this guy. How could I say no?
Something we haven't talked about with Dean is that and we've talked about size when it comes to defensive players. He's only 5'11",
Yeah.
6 foot. So
Well,
he's a cannonball.
But there have been guys who play the linebacker position who are able to play it despite that. Because they have those instincts. And I say that is the number one thing. Something you just can't teach is how to be around the ball, which angle to take to make the tackle. Should I go around this blocker or should I come in behind them? All those type of things decisions have to be made split second, and it's instinctive. It's not something you sit down and really talk about cognitively where you think it out. No, you just do it instinctively. And those are the great players. Great linebackers like that. Really, Ray Lewis, he was kind of short. I mean, he was about 6 foot.
Okay.
So he wasn't that much taller than Dean.
Yeah.
And he did all right.
As you played for the Eagles, you were a linebacker in
Yeah.
the Eagles, as we talked about before, and we joked about all season. The Eagles like to pretend that position does not. Oh, Brisker is off the board. Mark,
Okay.
I'm so
All
sorry.
right. Well, Chicago Bears getting really good safety. All right, look, I'm not somebody that's Joe Pro Penn State. I'm not a Penn State guy. Not that I have anything against Penn State, but whatever. He's a very talented safety. I was very much hoping that he could be on the Eagles. He's a very versatile safety as well. He's got to work on his slot coverage, of course. But he's a hitter, and he's the type of guy you can get behind as an Eagles fan. He's the type of safety that you want coming up on the line of scrimmage to try to defend the run or try to stuff a bubble screen on the outside to a wide receiver. He's that good. He's that fast. He's that quick. He's got good enough instincts. I was shocked that he fell to where he fell right now, being selected at number 48. Just such a tease that I thought everything was going to go the way we wanted it. The Bears get a really good safety here. There's still talent left on the board, of course.
There is.
But that was a guy that I felt right now is the best matchup best combination of the Eagles' need versus best available, and he just went off the board to the Bears.
Well, we got 2 more picks, so we can make it. I think Nakobe Dean now is probably literally the best option on the board now.
Quite literally, yes.
Well,
Quite literally.
He's definitely the guy we know. See, he's the guy we know. Now, they know other people because they have had the time to sit down and work these guys out, sit down and talk to them, talk to the coach about them, even go back to their high school coach, talk to them about the youngsters. So they know these guys, and hopefully, they make the right pick. But, Nakobe Dean, we know that he has the pedigree of a champion.
Yeah.
And you can't say enough about that.
No.
Because when you win the championship, there's certain things that means about you, that you set, that higher goals. You really go after it. You know how to push yourself. You know how to push other guys, because he was a leader on this championship defense. But really, that Georgia defense wasn't just a championship defense. They might have been the greatest defense in college that we've ever seen, with the way they dominated people. And this is in an era where you've got an offensive game where everybody's spreading everybody out. Everybody's throwing the ball. In this era, this Georgia team was above all that we've ever seen of a defense.
We've already got one of them.
So if Nakobe Dean was able to lead that team, maybe he can lead the Eagles back to the Super Bowl.
As a rookie.
Hey, as a rookie, but
we're in a few seasons. We'll
he's going to right away start demanding things of guys that they raise their level of play, and because he pushes himself, pushes the rest of the guys. That's what you have when a leader of a champion.
Remember that question you asked earlier, Devin, about is there anything possible that the Eagles could do or Howie Roseman could do to take the air out of the balloon?
I'm scared about where is this
played it from yesterday, which is one of the great sports days about life.
What's happening?
Just nothing yet, but there's speculation.
No.
So Jeff McClain, Inquirer.com, great beat writer, is speculating right now that a couple of these guys speculating that if a couple of these guys' names are off the board, the Eagles might entertain the idea of trading back. That, I think, would take a lot of air out of the balloon, especially if a guy like Nakobe Dean is still available on the draft on the board at the time the Eagles selected 51, which we're only 3 picks away from right now. So
now that could be Now that I would not be happy.
Neither would I.
I would not be happy with that.
Now again, it's not a report; it's speculation.
I wouldn't be happy with that trading back.
Well, what would be the purpose of that?
Now he's looking at Christian Harris right now to possibly still be available. Well, he is available. Also, Jaquan Brisker, who's also off the board. Nick Bonito, obviously, is another one that's available there, and Nakobe Dean. So those guys will still. One of those guys will still be there because they're not. No one's taking 2 picks at once. So you just do the simple math, and there's still going to be somebody available at that spot, unless it's somebody that the Eagles are not exactly confident in. So there's still an opportunity for them to trade back for multiple.
Now, trade him. I wouldn't be happy with trade back.
Benefit in that.
Especially if Nakobe Dean's still on the board.
Well,
yeah.
You know, if they have guys rated high, see, that's what they'll be looking at their board and say, okay, we could get two of these guys that we've got our eye on. And so trading back, that's what they could be there thinking. That's the only reason they would trade back, is because they see somebody that they have rated higher than maybe everybody else does. And as long as you're right, everybody's happy with it as long as you're right. You bring in good players. But right now, they're in a position where you've got some guys, you know, like a guy like Nakobe Dean, even though some people don't like him because of his height, and it's mainly because of his height. The guy has been a champion. That means a lot to me, because when a guy has been a champion, that says a lot of things about him. You know, where you can go head-to-head with Alabama and that monster of a team they have down there, and you go down there and beat them. That tells me a lot about you as a champion, boy. And
you know what it takes to win.
You know what it takes to win. That's right. And he went out and did it and was the leader of that group with some of these guys. Well, you know, Jordan Davis, of course, who they just drafted. He was the leader, though. Nakobe Dean was the leader of that defense.
By the way, that's the ultimate troll of ESPN. They must be watching somehow, knowing that they control you by putting a 2-foot hoagie in front of Jordan Davis while you're up here preaching about put this man
like
it's the post office most wanted.
Yeah.
Well, I tell you what, hey, I told you we got to keep this guy away from these cheesesteaks. Now, everybody else can eat all the cheesesteaks you want.
Thank you.
But if you see this big monster of a guy, he's heading for a cheesesteak factory or whatever, you know, he's going in a cheesesteak shop. We got to be able to control him.
Mark, we have to go to break really quickly, but what are you so upset about? You just made a face.
I want to use as many cheesesteak as I possibly can. And I'm glad. I thought Cobb was going to block me.
I thought like someone big was
you
just
can
drafted.
eat. You can eat.
All right, guys, stick around. We're going to be back with the Eagles pick in just a few.
Do you stream on a Roku, Fire Stick, Android TV, or Apple TV? Now you can watch 6ABC 24/7 with the 6ABC Philadelphia streaming app.
The big story on Action.
Search 6ABC Philadelphia and start streaming today.
Field of life, First Trust Bank is there for you. Because Philadelphia dreams deserve a Philadelphia bank.
In Philadelphia, we celebrated the miracle with pride only 5 years ago. And then the following morning, IBEW Local 98 members went back to work, building this city, rescuing our communities from decay, and inspiring the young men and women of the region to take pride in who we are. Like the Cats, Local 98 members believe in hope.
Hey, Eagles fans, it's Marc here from IBEW Local 98. Now let's get back to the draft here on 6 ABC.
Go for the midnight dares. Go for the game. Go for the hit. Go for the fans. Go for the win. Go to Ocean Casino Resort. Book your trip at theoceanac.com.
Welcome back to the JAKIB Draft Special. I'm Devan Kaney, Garry Cobb, Marc Farzetta, coming to you from Ocean Casino Resort. Marc, what is wrong? What is troubling you?
Things are getting tense, Devan. Things are getting tense.
You're making noises over here in the break. You're like scrolling Twitter. Please tell us what's happening.
I'm very emotional is what I am, because I just have this awful feeling now that it's been put out on the Twitterverse, just that vibe of the possibility of the Eagles moving back when a guy like Nakobe Dean could still be on the board. That would kill all the great momentum from yesterday.
Now, they could still be looking at a cornerback. I mean, they got some of these guys here, got this kid at Nebraska, Cameron Taylor-Britt. He's 6 foot, about 200 pounds, who's supposed to have good skill as a both zone corner and a man-to-man corner. So we're going to see. I think they got to look at the cornerback position, because in the NFL, if you don't have somebody to play the wide receivers, man, people will shred you. And you don't want to mess with the guys that are already there. Oh. Like you don't want to move any of the guys from the positions they're already in. So, did you see something?
Yeah. No, I didn't. Sorry.
Not yet.
We're all just getting really edgy now.
Yeah, we're all really edgy.
We're all getting jumpy.
Sorry. I saw the Patriots logo and I had a heart attack, and I thought the Eagles traded. Marc it's all Marc's fault.
I'm told I make people uncomfortable. I'm told I make people off put in social settings sometimes. And right now it would be one of those examples.
Just a little bit. Wait, Garry, I'm sorry. I did not mean to interrupt you.
I'm talking about that whole cornerback position of finding guys. Now we see something that's happening, because pretty much all this offseason they had this kid Marcus Jones. They had him rated higher than some of the corners that have been picked. But the fact that he's 5'8", teams don't want to deal with that, because what the Mike said and what people have said, which is if you got a guy that's short, he's going to get taken advantage of. They're just going to throw the ball up high.
How's a 5'8" guy going to guard at 6'6"?
It's just not going to work. He's going to have to play inside, probably at the playing that the nickel corner where he's inside in the slot rather than outside. But at 5'8", he's a liability. So even though he's rated higher than some of the other guys, the guys that are taller have been drafted. So I think the Eagles have got to be looking at the cornerback position, or they're looking at an edge rusher, somebody that affects the passing game. And that's the big thing you have to know. The NFL is a passing league now. Even though we've only had one quarterback chosen still.
Yes.
Only had one.
Well, only one off the board, yeah.
Only one quarterback.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy.
But see, that says something about this draft. And that's why the Eagles traded back. That's why they moved that first round pick into the next year, because they were not thrilled by anything with these quarterbacks. But next year, there are some quarterbacks that are coming out that people are excited about. The young man down in Alabama, they're excited about him. He's a young quarterback. But this year, these quarterbacks that have a league like it is now, which is a quarterback-dominated league. We saw in the playoffs. People are still thrilled about what they saw in the playoffs with some of the games and the play of the quarterbacks. I mean, the duel that we saw between, with Patrick Mahomes going against Buffalo and how they went into overtime, and, Josh Allen is leading the Bills down, and they just keep going at each other.
Ever happened.
I mean, just a great game, and it's quarterback driven, of course. Aaron Rodgers with the great play that he have, and then the guy that's the greatest of all time, Tom Brady, the way he continues to play. It is a quarterback-dominated league, but we've only had one quarterback go. But that still doesn't mean that it's a passing game, because you look at all the top picks, they started off with edge rushers. You had 2 edge rushers go. Then you had 2 cornerbacks go. And they're all about the passing game. So right now with the Eagles, this pick is going to reflect that. It's going to be a cornerback. It'll be an edge rusher, I think.
I can't work with this.
I'm sorry.
He's sitting here fidgeting. You're
Yeah,
like,
Tyquan Thornton, according to Albert Breer, the NFL Network, Patriots are drafting. This is unverified. Baylor wide receiver Tyquan Thornton, which means Nakobe Dean's going to be on the board when the Eagles are picking because the Eagles are on the clock.
That's good.
That's a great thing.
Let's not assume the worst. Marc.
You know
Let's
what?
stay positive.
You know, Mike,
Grabbing a linebacker. I got to see it. I got to see it before because they have a formula. I think it's open for a linebacker in the 2nd round. So this could happen. But remember,
someone take Marc's espresso away.
I've already had about 7 and a 5-hour energy. But this is just water. This is water right here. I swear. Soon there'll be something else. Maybe a nice stateside vodka.
But
yeah, there you go.
But it's going to be something to address, I think, the passing game. So I don't know if, would they go by Nakobe Dean? Would they just? Everybody else is going by him.
I would really hope that Howie Roseman would not disappoint us like that. Mike Quick's answer when I asked him if Howie had something up his sleeve, he sounded pretty confident in that. I don't know. Marc does not seem as convinced as me, though.
Like, how much positive energy can we have after one day? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like at some point,
happen.
like we're just programmed as Eagles people to just expect something not as great as was the day before. Like we've already paid our dues in happiness. It's time to be miserable.
Okay, well, now I'm starting to see unconfirmed rumors about the Eagles that is not them trading back, but them potentially taking an offensive lineman.
Well,
how do you feel about this?
Now, I could see that. Now, this is the one place where I could see it.
Okay.
I know that there were some sinners. They don't think Jason Kelsey's going to play that much longer.
Right.
So they could be really high on one of these sinners, and they go out and they grab him. That's the place where I could see. But where else would you go? You got really 2 Pro Bowl level offensive tackles. So I can't see them getting an offensive tackle. But maybe at the center position where, Jason has been talking that, he's not going to play that much longer.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they move there. They make a move there. But I think that they're going to do something defensively because they have needs on the defensive side.
What do you want them to do?
Cornerback.
What do you want them to do right now? Do you want them to take Dean? I want them to take Dean.
Yes. Why would they
want
not?
them to take Nakobe
Why do they
Dean.
continue to ignore that position?
We're 3 for 3. We're 3 for 3.
I will say I'll agree with that.
I am now more convinced they're going to take a tackle. Like that, that's where I see this going on.
But they're not
no, there will not be a Cowboys fan staring at me, putting the bad juju in my direction. There is a Cowboys fan standing behind the set, and he's staring at me. And I don't like it one bit. And this is not comfortable.
Yeah, but the thing, I think that they are going to get defense though. I don't think they're going to get an offensive lineman. They better.
The thing is, if they don't take a defensive player, does that mean that Howie has something else up his sleeve with maybe an existing player, free agency? I don't know. What else could they do aside from the Honey Badger? What can they do?
It could be something that way where they're really high on the guy they're drafting. But it could be something where where they know that they've got some free agents that they're going to be able to sign. But it's got to be something. I mean, like this whole thing with A.J. Brown. Remember, he didn't get the wide receiver, but he did make the move. To get a wide receiver at A.J. Brown, whereas during the offseason, we went through the whole offseason, no veteran wide receiver. There are different people that they talked to and they were able to, think about making moves with, but they weren't able to get a veteran wide receiver. But then they come out and they make the move and grab A.J. Brown, a veteran wide receiver who's only 24 years old, who's a Pro Bowl level wide receiver. They were able to do that. So you never know. You never know, but I'm interested in seeing what they're going to do. But I think they're going to make a move on the defense.
Yeah.
It'll be a defensive move. It'll be a cornerback or edge rusher.
If it's not,
I'm blaming Cowboys fan guy right there. That's who I'm blaming.
Cowboys fan is over here taunting us, but they took an offensive lineman in the first round. So
their offensive line is old.
True. Very true. I'm trying to say this guy's over here taunting us.
They've had a lot of injuries. But if we look at the cornerback, some of these. I think the
Marcus
kid
Jones,
from Nebraska.
Houston, who Marcus Jones, the guy you were talking about earlier, but the kid from Nebraska as well, still there. Mississippi State has a kid as well, Martin Emerson, but he's probably a 3rd rounder, maybe a 4th rounder. So that would be that reach position that we talked about earlier.
Yeah, but then we look at the whole thing with the edge rusher.
Well,
that they could grab.
Mark, can I just ask you this because I don't know how much time
Please,
I have.
yes, distract
I don't
me
know how
from
much
what
time
could
I
be
have
happening.
here. If it happens to be an offensive player,
Yes.
what are you going to do? I'm concerned. Are you like, is the espresso okay? Are we okay?
I'm going to
here?
walk
Is
over.
the laptop okay?
I'm going to walk. No. I'm not. I don't break stuff. Not anymore. I've grown up. But I will go over to whatever Topgolf section is open here at Topgolf, whatever little stall is open, and I will just drive the hell terribly because I'm not a good golfer. But I'll just get the anger out that way with a driver, probably on a golf ball, for the record.
Okay.
And then I'll probably mosey on over to the bar.
Now they really already have one of the best, if not the best, offensive lines in the league. They already have that. But you could always get younger.
Sure, you lost Brandon Brooks, but you still have guys that can fill that role. Obviously, The only concern, just going in the dark recesses of my mind where I'm living right now,
don't go there.
Is what do we know about Lane Johnson and his future? Because he played next to Brandon Brooks, who I think called it a career kind of early.
Like 31.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you're right. But it seems like, he loves the game. It just depends on how long does he plan on playing.
They do have young guys. Jack Driscoll can obviously play the tackle position. Jordan Mailata is still a young guy. Yeah. They still have Andre Dillard.
That's why
on
I really don't see them making the move on the offensive line. They just seem like they're so strong there. Even if you lose Jason Kelsey. But that's the one position where if you had a marquee center that you're putting in there. Now, the whole Landon Dickerson pick last year, some people were down on that until he got on the field and started playing, and they realized they got the best left side of their offensive line. With Jordan Mailata and Landon Dickerson, Mailata at left tackle, Dickerson at left guard. They got the best left side in the NFL. They ran behind those guys all year long, and they're a dominating side that's going to be there for years to come. So the Dickerson move, a lot of people weren't crazy about it.
Yeah, but that paid out.
But it paid out. So, and you figure if you get a dominating player, a player, that's a great player, let's say it's the center position, and you he's going to be a great center for years to come because a lot of times those guys play a long time. So if you get in there and that at some point, Jason is going to move on, you make that move. But they got to do something at the cornerback. And if they don't do it this year, then they might have to wait the next year. But at the cornerback position, you got to have somebody there that can play man-to-man.
Yeah.
Can't play zone all the time.
Jurgens, center, Nebraska.
I told you. That's they want him to replace Jason Kelsey.
And there's my boy, Jamie, Philly sports guy. Mark, pulse check here.
This is not a good pick. I mean, best of luck to Jurgen. Everything he could do at the NFL level. Hope he has a Hall of Fame career taking over for Jason Kelsey one day. This is not the right pick for this given point in time. This is not the right pick. When you have a guy like Nakobe Dean who's available.
You had a linebacker.
But he's not going to play.
There.
Why am I going to take a guy who's not going to play? Nakobe Dean starts tomorrow. This guy's not going to be playing behind Jason Kelsey, not in the near future, certainly not this year. You have the opportunity to go out there and get better right now with a guy that starts immediately. You already took a guy who's going to take some grooming, who I think has a huge upside in the first round in what you got there in Jordan Davis. But you're going to take another guy who's now going to be groomed behind Jason Kelsey. Push comes to shove, you have guys that can step in there at the center position and fill in for Jason Kelsey, whether that's in a long-term thing, if they want to train a guy like Landon Dickerson to take over that spot, a guy who nobody's crazy about, I get it, and Isaac Seumalo. You want to go out and maybe get a guy like Nate Herbig to be your center for a couple of games if need be. But Jason Kelsey's still a very durable, very good center in the NFL.
Hold on. I want to share. Football Kelly tweeted an interesting philosophy. She said, Stalin gets what he wants. That's the rule. So was it Jeff Stalin saying, "Get me this guy"?
I don't think it was him pressing. They thought that this guy is a marquee guy, and they had said some things earlier. They're talking about him. They know that Jason Kelsey is getting near the end, and they think that he's that good. But why is everybody else down on Nakobe Dean? It's not just the Eagles,
right? It's everybody else.
I mean, you got the whole league. Nakobe Dean is the guy. That what they're basically saying is that he was able to float around and make all the plays he was making because he was behind a Pro Bowl defensive line. And they've had at least three, picked off that defensive line already in this draft. So it's not just the Eagles making that assumption or making that evaluation of Nakobe Dean. It's the rest of the league.
Right.
Now, he could come out and prove them all wrong. If he does that, then the Eagles could use a marquee linebacker. They could have used one, but obviously they don't think Nakobe Dean is that guy.
Here's what
not
this
only do
solidifies.
the Eagles they don't believe that, but the rest of the league doesn't believe that. He's
what-
still on the board.
The Eagles are about to, like, in any pictures of you they have in their history of Nova, they're going to change your position to safety. They're not even going to have linebacker. They won't even acknowledge the position anymore. They had a guy sitting right there that helps them win immediately. This solidifies the idea that the Eagles do not value that position.
Yeah.
And you can make all the argument in the world about Nakobe Dean falling. So did Jurgens. It wasn't like he was going in the first round.
Nakobe Dean, okay, he's still there. The whole league nobody has drafted him. Okay, and it has to be now. If you look at the guys that have been picked, they picked 3 guys off their defensive line, and they've had these great players. Where if you're playing behind these guys, nobody's getting to the linebackers. Guys get to the linebackers in the NFL, and so obviously they think his size, and that's the thing. His size, we know that's what we saw with Marcus Jones. Nakobe Dean is a little guy. He's not 6 foot. He's not 6 foot, Mark. He's too short, and that's what the NFL they basically have said.
Too short, but him aside, weren't there other defensive players? Like, what is the mindset in choosing an offensive lineman here? That's what I can't wrap my mind around. Into probably the one area that the Eagles always excel at.
But they believe that you've got to address the offensive and defensive line. You always want to be best there, and if you are best there, it can make up for the guys that play in back of them. And really, Georgia. And with the fact that they've had 3 guys drafted off their defensive line, they shows that was the key to their defense, and that's why Nakobe Dean, he's still on the board, because most of people say you got a great defensive line, your linebackers don't have to be great because there's nobody going to be getting off to them, so they'll be able to roam free and make tackles. Where if they had to fight off a block, and they don't think that Nakobe Dean can fight off blocks. He didn't have to at Georgia. In the NFL, you got to fight off blocks.
He's going to be playing against men.
See,
right, I understand.
You can't say this is just Howie, though.
Right. Well, no, obviously he's late in the second round. Yeah, I get it.
You want to single out Howie and say, Howie made this one. It wasn't Howie is not the only one that made this move. He's still on the board. So 32 other GMs said no to Nakobe Dean.
Right, but not 32 other GMs.
Or not yet. They said not yet.
But also 32 other GMs don't have the same needs that could also match up with what was best available at that time, like the Eagles. See, my biggest problem with this is that I believe there are better players on the guys that can help you right now. There are better players available on the board to help you this year. This guy is going to be put aside. Like Ajabo is going to be put aside for the year because of an injury. This guy's going to be put aside because he's got somebody who's a Hall of Famer in front of him. Yeah, exactly. This is not a need of position right now. This is obviously somebody they see can help you next year or down the line.
But do you think that has something to do with it? Jason Kelce is probably in his last year. They want to get someone young in to learn from Kelce while they can.
But
he won't always be there.
Probably done.
Still don't support it. I'm just trying to wrap my mind around the logic here.
Seeing Jason Kelce react to getting A.J. Brown last night, that does not look like a guy that's done anytime soon.
Right.
Now, I'll bet you this kid can play some guard too if they need him to.
He could probably be versatile. Yeah, he played tight end. I know he played tight end a little bit.
Guard. So he could play some next year because really Dickerson last year was drafted. A lot of people thought he was going to play center. Okay. He wound up starting at left guard. It was the key part of the team. It's really the key reason they made the playoffs because they were able to run last year behind Lane Dickerson and Jordan Mailata on the team's left side. Of course, at center, you had, Jason Kelce. So they were able to run that side, and that's the reason they made the playoffs. They didn't make the playoffs because of the play of Jalen Hurts or because of the play of their defense. They made the playoffs because they had the best running game in the NFL, and that was because of their offensive line. Now, they're going to add to this. This kid could wind up playing some guard now and then eventually slide over and play center.
But let me ask you, because I started asking you this before, and then I think a pick came in. You played linebacker for the Eagles.
Correct, yes.
Why do they refuse to acknowledge that position exists? And they have now for years.
Well, they have, and I would like to see them address it more. But the reason they say that is because that is a dependent position. And when I say dependent, it means that if you've got great people up in front of them, your linebackers don't have to be as good. Because if you got great people up front, that's more important than linebackers. And then you kind of got to say, well, they drafted Michael Kendricks. They drafted him in the second round. He helped them win a Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Okay. So they did get him in the second round. But you have to have quality people up front. And if you're winning the battle up front, your linebackers are going to be able to do their job, even if they're not great. It's like having a great offensive line. You don't need great running backs. If you got a great offensive line, you're going to gain yardage. Like the Eagles this past year. They had really, I think, one of the best running games in the league, even though they don't have great running backs, but their offensive line plays great.
Yeah.
So that's the thinking. I know that people might not be happy with this pick. And you're thinking about Nakobe Dean.
That was perfectly timed eye contact. People might not be happy. Mark, tell me what's on your mind. Get it all out.
I for the life of me, I can't understand why there, to me at least, is a clear-cut guy that comes in here and is an upgrade over what you have already, and he fell to you. I mean, for all the people that want to talk about Howie Roseman wants to be the smartest guy in the room, and I know we talked about after the first round about how you can't force things in the draft. This is something that fell in your lap. This is a situation for Howie Roseman where you better be right. And if you're going to create all the good vibes that he did yesterday by making all the right moves, I give him every credit in the world for what he was able to do in the first round. Good for you, Howie. This second round, I feel like it's botched.
Okay, now
I don't get this. I'm not devaluing the offensive line and what the value it means to a team. That'd be a very hypocritical thing for me to say after praising Jordan Davis and getting that pick for going defensive line.
Yeah.
But the fact that they go for backup and you don't even know what he's going to be playing.
Well, no, that's not true. See, because
they like Landon Dickerson.
Landon Dickerson last year was drafted as a backup.
Yeah, but he was also coming off a lot of injuries.
No, but he was drafted as a backup. Same way as you're talking about with this young fella this year. He wound up starting, and he was one of the main reasons they went to the playoffs, because they were able to run behind that left side of their offensive line with, Jordan Mailata, who was drafted in the 7th round. And you had him next to Lane Dickerson. They ran behind that side all the time. They weren't running behind their right side. They were running behind that left side because they are big and they are physical. Now, this kid that they drafted, the kid that's going to play, he played center, but he could wind up playing guard too, because Dickerson played center in college, wound up playing guard last year. And they have no plans of moving him because that's the strongest part of their offensive line now. So I'm leaving the door open that maybe he winds up playing right guard this next year or something. That might be the case. That
maybe linebacker.
Because Nate Herbig really probably is the weakest part, I think, of their offensive line. I could see them moving him over, having him start out. He plays right guard, then he slides over when Jason Kelce goes, and he plays center. Now, if he's a great offensive lineman, they made the right move. I don't care. They made the right move. If he's not, then now last year with Dickerson, even though a lot of people didn't like the move.
But they didn't like it because we thought he wasn't going to play because he was injured last year. And then he worked out. But last year I felt Dickerson still filled more team needs, where this, I don't feel, Mark, I don't know if you agree or disagree, fills a need or was even the best player available.
You felt like you were getting good value because of the injuries, which is why he was in the second round.
Yeah.
This feels like a guy that is like a reach for a backup center. Who reaches for a backup center in the second round? Howie Roseman does. You know why? Because he wants to kill all the good mojo from yesterday. That's why. But I can't get over this. Like I was saying earlier, it feels like everything was going so great yesterday. So sooner or later, it was going to come to a head. I just don't see why this is the good pick. You could see why Landon Dickerson is the good pick because you almost feel like it's the draft and stash type of situation. Yeah. Same way you felt like it was Sidney Jones. And obviously Landon Dickerson is the much huger, better upside and better pick than Sidney Jones ever was. We know that. But this is the type of situation where this guy could have gone maybe in the 3rd round, depending on what you read, depending on what you believe. And you have a guy like Nakobe Dean who fell in your lap, and you're like, no, I'm good. Linebackers, what are they?
What's a linebacker?
And you're good from this point on as far as that goes. Now, as far as the rest of this draft goes and what the Eagles could go, as far as helping out their defense, which they will still need to do, this is looking more and more likely. I know some people are saying this in our chat as well, that it could be a situation where they still go out there and get Honey Badger to be your starting safety.
Yeah, but that still doesn't fix the cornerback issue
no,
or the linebacker
it still doesn't.
issue.
But like I said, Jurgens played tight end for a heartbeat in college.
I am shocked that they made the move. I'm trying to kind of give them a pass in some ways because I don't know.
I think we're all trying to make sense of it in real time right
now. Because you really wonder like why they did it. The thing with Nakobe Dean, you know, obviously a lot of other people are down on him about something. And it's probably, like I said, it's probably his height.
Right.
But he's still there. He's still available.
He's still there, but it still is the, you know, needs best player available, doesn't fit any of the boxes. That's a little bit confusing to me. So as we have a few minutes left,
I mean,
this
that's
draft
surprise.
special. Well, what grade would you guys give this second round, Mark? I'm scared to even ask. Is it an F? Is it a fail? Complete fail?
Today, fail.
Yes.
Like, look,
just today.
I don't want to make it look like I'm piling on to a kid in Cam Jurgens who might have a very promising NFL career in front of him.
Amen.
Look, Jalen Hurts is your starting quarterback. He was drafted to be a backup in the second round. That was after you gave a $150 million contract to Carson Wentz. Business-wise, even football-wise, that's stupid. It was a stupid pick. It was a stupid move.
Now, see,
it ended up working out for him, and now he's the starting quarterback.
But that wasn't a stupid move, though. If you think the quarterback was good enough, it wasn't a stupid move.
Well, why would I think
because there's nothing
I
more
thought the other guy
important
was
than the
good.
quarterback position.
Well, true, but I already gave $150 million to a guy I already thought was the future.
But the thing is, the guy you gave the money to was injury prone.
Yes, he was. But then why'd you give him the money?
Well, he was injury prone, but still, you thought he was a quality quarterback. But you need talent behind him.
Right.
But he was an injury prone quarterback. You needed to have a starting quarterback. The only reason the Eagles have a Super Bowl title is because they had an outstanding backup behind of Carson Wentz.
Absolutely.
The only reason they have a Super Bowl title. So it is an important position, especially if you have a quarterback that's injury prone, which Carson Wentz shown that he's injury prone.
All right.
So that's why I'm just trying not to just dump on this pick. I don't understand it. I don't understand why they made this move, though, because defense was where they have needs.
Yeah.
They have more needs on defense. They have one of the best offensive line, if not the best, offensive line in the NFL.
So
Jason
why
Kelsey
not
is
make it stronger
Wait,
10 years from
well,
now?
Jason Kelsey is going to play this next year.
Yeah.
So you're not really drafting him, somebody to step in right away and play. So that's why I can't say I do not understand this pick. But like I said, I'm trying to. That's why I'm trying to give them the benefit of the doubt because of what they did yesterday. But I don't understand this pick.
You were just selling me on it. Like, I almost started to like the pick a second ago.
I'm trying to look at the positive side of it. To say,
We're all working through it in real time.
But when I
truly.
think about it, I mean, I don't understand why you're going to address the offensive line now when you got clear needs on defense. Clearly, you need a cornerback. You need a better pass rush, especially coming from outside. The guys you have out there, Derek Barnett is not good enough. He's proven that, 2 sacks, he's not good enough. Brandon Graham he's long in the tooth. We don't even know he's going to be able to come back from that Achilles tear he had. So we can't not trust Brandon Graham. So I could have seen them addressed in the edge rusher, cornerback edge rusher, something there. Or let's say you do go and get Nakobe Dean. But obviously, they didn't feel good about it. But to draft the offensive line, the strongest part of your team, the offensive line is the strongest part of this football team. So I do not understand why they did that. Howie, tried to give you a break, man.
You were doing so well. You gave us 24 hours of happiness.
I don't
and
understand
you took it away.
But, he had a great first day. I don't know about the second day, Howie. I'm sorry, man. I can't. I'm not happy with the second day because I don't see why you're drafting offensive line, a guy that is going to be backing up this year.
You know what? I think I got
why?
I think I got it. Howie Roseman hates Jason Kelsey. I think that's what it is. He just wants to push him out, and he's getting way too much attention, way too much love. Howie's not getting that love. He's always trying to get rid of Jason Kelsey. That's the only way it makes sense to me. That's the only way it makes sense.
It checks
and,
out for
and
sure.
if they win a Super Bowl with Jurgens, you're going to see Howie Roseman in a mummer outfit. That's what I think is going to happen. I don't think there's justification for this. I think you can always say, oh, you got to build the offensive line. You got to have depth. Sure you do. Well, that's why you took guys like Landon Dickerson. That's why you took guys like Jack Driscoll. That's why you still have Nate Herbig. That's why you still have Isaac Seumalo. But for me, I
forgot.
For the life of me, I don't see why this is the pick in the second round.
I mean, I can't say. And one thing that bothered me, I look and read a little bit about the kid. I see undersized. I don't like hearing.
Oh,
undersized.
now he really hates Jason Kelsey.
No.
We don't room for 2 undersized centers.
I don't like undersized, but obviously they saw things maybe in him that they saw in Kelsey because Kelsey is been at Hall of Fame level type of center, and he's been undersized all these years. He's a great athlete and everything, and they obviously saw some of those things in this kid that they drafted. But they have needs at the cornerback position. They have needs at the edge rusher position, you know?
Yeah.
So
what do they do third round now? We got one pick.
well, I think you're going to address one of those
Can
needs.
you address it for an immediate impact player though in a third round
You can.
selection?
I mean, it's you don't see it a lot, but I think you can if you got a guy, if you grab the right player. But but the fact that they would grab a center in the second round, that's a shocker to me. Because I definitely thought they were going to address
do you think they do it
their
for
defense.
trade capital?
No, that's not. No,
I'm
with
just
the
trying
limited,
to make
with the,
sense of
I
this.
think we tried. It's impossible.
Where you would have another team that wanted them, and you draft him for them, and then you trade him to them. I don't see that happening in the second round. Maybe the first round.
Yeah.
But I don't see that. It's going to take a while for me to understand this, because I don't understand it.
For words.
And here I was saying that there's nothing Howie could do to really mess up everything. But I'm not feeling good about this pick, Howie. I'm not feeling good about why.
I feel like I have watched Marc go through every stage of grief, and now he's happy. But like, I don't know.
I think the proper term is slap happy.
Yeah. There you go.
Everything was just going in the right direction.
Flabbergasted.
And Howie's like, "What did you think you were going to get? Like everything good for me?"
Right,
Like, pretty much that's how it feels. Now again, you could always justify getting more depth on the offensive line, but I just think this is a situation where that couldn't be. Now, I will say, as the draft continues, as we continue to dissect this with the Eagles, you look at now a total of whatever pick we're on right now, because we've been talking about this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 other picks that have gone off the board that still have not taken Nakobe Dean. So that's another thing. They weren't going to take another wide receiver. There was a run on wide receivers here. They weren't going to take another tight end. Sam Williams went off the board from Ole Miss as an outside linebacker. But again, we now have ironclad proof that the Eagles don't give a damn about linebacker.
Right.
So that's not going to be something that's going to turn their heads, unfortunately.
But if you have a great defensive line, now see, in fairness to the Eagles, a few years ago they won the Super Bowl with this formula.
Mm-hmm.
Now they did have a guy there they drafted in the second round in Michael Kendricks.
Right.
But with their formula, they won a Super Bowl
with an MVP quarterback and then a hell of a backup.
Well, okay. Well, they won with their formula, which is they address the quarterback position,
defensive and offensive line,
defensive line, and
but
they
our
won.
offensive line is already good. I think that's the confusing part.
I agree.
Yeah.
But they're addressing it, and they're going to have more depth. Jason Kelce is not going to play that long, so maybe that's why they do that, because this kid sounds like Jason Kelce. He's very athletic center, who's very quick, and he used to play linebacker. And now he's playing center, but he's...
Wait, you play linebacker or tight end? I feel like I'm getting so many
he played
different,
both. He played both, I think.
Okay.
And he's
versatile.
He's versatile. He's got quick feet, and that sounds like Jason Kelce. A very athletic center. So maybe that's the reason they picked him. They picking Jason's replacement. They got to explain. Howie, hey, you guys are gonna have to explain this to me, because you didn't address the defense with this pick. So.
Oh my God, Marc.
But I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to listen.
Head in hand.
Okay.
What's going on?
This is whatever I'm about to tell you. This is all Howie Roseman's fault.
Oh no.
According to Shams Charania, just to break in some basketball news real quick for the Philadelphia fan base, Joel Embiid suffered a right orbital fracture and a mild concussion in the series clinching Game 6 win over Toronto. He will be listed as out, and there's no timetable for his return. This is all because Howie didn't take Nakobe Dean.
Now you're really going to go down.
Yeah, I'm in a rabbit hole.
Philly sports scenario. We had the best day ever yesterday. Phillies, Sixers win. Howie crushes the draft, and now this, like, really just not dropping bombs.
I don't understand it, but
I am in shock by that news. I'm gonna have to unpack that one later, guys. We only have a couple minutes left, so closing thoughts on the draft. Let's put the Joel Embiid news to the side for now. Marc, let's start with you. Keeping in mind what happened in the first round.
Yeah. Oh.
What is the grade now? Because it was an A+.
Today's a new day. Today, in all honesty, is a failure. It's an F. You had guys fall close to you, and you didn't have the draft capital to be able to move up and get it. Jalen Reagor is still on the squad. Andre Dillard, for a second straight draft where he was rumored to be moved, still on the squad. Gardner Minshew still on the squad. You had opportunities, I feel, to move up to get guys like Brisker, for instance, who only went a couple of spots in front of you. That could have been a changer on your defense, and you didn't do it. This is a failure by Howie Roseman. You took depth in the second round, and not even a guy that you could look at like a Landon Dickerson that always hurt. You're not going to get much from him. Anything you get is a plus. This is not that type of situation when it comes to the pick they made with Jurgens. I wish him all the success. I hope he's a great NFL player, but just schematically, this is a bad move by Howie Roseman.
Garry?
F+.
Well, right now, the first day, I still want to see Jordan Davis developed into the type of NFL inside rusher, a defensive tackle who can get to the quarterback. We know that he can stop the run, but I look at the talent. I saw him run like a 4.7 in the 40-yard dash, even though he's 350 pounds. He's an amazing athlete. So I do think that he can be transformed into that pass rusher inside that the Eagles need. And I think he can be a controller inside. And that's the reason I think that he was definitely worth everything they did to get him. The next pick, A.J. Brown, I thought that was a great move. You got a starting Pro Bowl level wide receiver right now who's only 24 years old. I love that. So I give him an A the first day, but he gets a C the second day, and therefore they get a B in what they did, because I don't like the Cameron Jurgens. I don't like that move.
All right, just another day in the life of a Philly sports fan, I suppose. Guys, that does it for our second night of the JAKIB Draft Special. Devan Kaney, Marc Farzetta, Garry Cobb. I'm so sorry that we're ending on such a bad note. It was fun.
Up until recently.
We'll see. Maybe it'll all work out.
Hang
We'll
in
see.
there. Hang in there.
But thank you, everyone who tuned in. And I'm going to toss it back over to the JAKIB YouTube channel.